Talk back off.
Hello everyone on YouTube, this is Jordan here again, and today I'm going to be doing another Linux video. Now, we're not going to be installing a Linux distribution because I've already gone ahead and done that off camera. The distribution we're looking at is the recently released trisquel 11, codenamed Aramo. Now, trisquel is a completely unique distribution in and of itself because the software, the hardware, all the drivers are 100% free. No proprietary blobs whatsoever. Now you're going to be seeing all the stuff that I've installed on trisquel anyway, because I've had this virtual machine for a couple of weeks now. So I'm going to go ahead and show it you. Let me move my Mac's keyboard out of the way. Now, when you boot trisquel, it will, if you leave it for a few seconds, boot with the screen reader already enabled. So all you'll need to do is click the install icon on the desktop. Now, the install icon is very much the same as installing Ubuntu. In fact, trisquel is based on Ubuntu, but it's not Ubuntu, and it's not using Ubuntu's repos. They're using their own trisquel branded repos. So let's go fire up VirtualBox and play with trisquel. So I'm on my Windows 11 powered laptop.
Start with
This is the same laptop I used in the Man I'm On video. I've upgraded it to Windows 11.
Oracle VM
And I am now
Oracle
going to
Virtual Box
proceed to
Oracle.
open
Edit enter trisquel Linux.
my
Menu.
virtual machine right here.
Set what move export move start pause start alt key normal start up Oracle VM Virtual Box Manager window split button list trisquel Linux.
Now when you
power
start
off,
trisquel
Oracle VM
for the first
Virtual
time,
Box, num lock off trisquel Linux starting Oracle VM Virtual Box trisquel Linux running Oracle VM Virtual Box.
when you start it, this is the login screen. It should be starting up soon. I've already installed this.
Trisquel login.
Here we go.
Screen reader on. Frame. Password text.
Now the password is very much reminiscent of what you get in Debian. So I'm going to go type in the
Bullet.
login.
Bullet. Bullet. Bullet.
And I'm going to log in.
Screen reader on.
Now, trisquel does things very, very differently. If you're used to stuff like Ubuntu Mate and Linux Mint, the now out of support accessible Coconut, which is no longer getting any input. I'm pretty sure it's stopped getting updates. Then what you're greeted here with is a Mate desktop. Trisquel have opted for a vanilla Mate desktop. So this is Mate without there's no menu when you press the super key. This is what Mate was supposed to look like. They've opted for that. To get to your desktop, obviously it's the same.
Desktop. Icon view.
So we've got an Ubuntu base using trisquel unbranded repos. So we're going to be seeing completely different packages. So let's go over to the applications folder and check it out.
Menu. Chromium DOS apps menu. Internet menu.
So instead of accessories, you have the internet and network menu. And installed are the following applications.
A browser, web browser.
Now this peculiar browser called a browser is a rebranded Mozilla Firefox. Because Mozilla Firefox is not open source and free, trisquel has opted to include something called a browser, because Mozilla Firefox is proprietary software. Most Linux distributions bundle Firefox anywhere because it's proprietary software. Mozilla Firefox is not completely open source, hence why trisquel can't include it. The next one we've got
Mail.
is iStuff, which is a rebranded Thunderbird. And again, Thunderbird is proprietary software, which means that trisquel can't include Thunderbird because it's not 100% open source. So iStuff is, Debian used to use this for a bit.
Pigeon Internet Messenger.
We've got Pigeon.
Chromium DOS.
Chromium Ghost, which is Chromium browser with an encryption module.
Electrum Bitcoin Wallet.
Well, I installed that Chromium browser. This is Electrum, which is a Bitcoin wallet. No one's going to be really using that in a daily driver. I don't know why trisquel bundles that.
Jarmy.
We've got Jarmy, which doesn't require an account to log in. They're local accounts, so it's not like a full social networking service.
Jarmy. Lifereer.
Lifereer, which is an RSS reader.
Remote desktop viewer.
And this is a remote desktop viewer.
Transmission.
And transmission BitTorrent client.
A browser, web browser.
And we're back to the...
Internet menu.
We're back to the... a browser, web browser.
Office menu.
Under Office, we have...
LibreOffice Writer.
what you'd expect.
LibreOffice Cal, LibreOffice in LibreOffice Draw, LibreOffice Writer, LibreOffice Cal.
We don't have Base installed, but we've got the core essentials, so that's mostly what everyone needs. And they're not up to date, however, you can add the LibreOffice PPA, so it doesn't really matter anyway.
Office menu. Graphics menu.
Under Graphics,
Document scanner.
we've got the Document Scanner,
GNU image manipulation program.
the GIMP.
Mate color selection. Vunia. Document scanner. Vunia.
I don't know what Vunia is, but we do have some Mate tools.
Graphics menu. Sound video menu.
Under Sound,
Brasero.
we've got Presario,
Cheese.
Sound settings,
VLC media player.
and VLC.
Brasero.
Now, VLC has had all the proprietary stuff knocked out of it, so it can only play stuff like MIDI and OGG and Vorbis and all that, so it can't play MP3s. I think people need to move away from MP3 and WAV, seriously. But you can play MIDI files though. MIDI isn't a proprietary format.
Sound video
Next
menu.
one.
Games menu.
Under Games, we have the GNOME games.
I'll write solitaire. Chess. Mahjong. Mines. Sudoku. I'll write solitaire.
So these are all the GNOME games. I'm saying GNOME, and I'm supposed to be saying GNOME.
Games menu. Accessories menu.
Under Accessories,
Actual document viewer. Character map. Endramper archive man. Mate calculator. Mate dictionary. Mate disk usage analyzer. Mate font viewer. Mate search tool. Mate terminal. Nextcloud desktop sync client.
now I've installed Nextcloud.
Onboard.
We've got Onboard,
Screen reader.
and there's Orca,
PDF arranger. Plumer.
PDF Arranger, which used to be called PDF Shuffler,
Redshift.
Redshift,
Screen magnifier.
Screen Magnifier.
Take screenshot. Actual document viewer. Accessories other menu.
Under Other,
Back in time.
we've got Back in Time, which is clearly better than Timeshift. Timeshift isn't 100% open source, so that means it can't be included in the repos because it's owned by Linux Mint, and I strongly discourage using Linux Mint in this day and age.
Back in time root.
Not only is it forcing updates on you like Microsoft does, but again, it's using Ubuntu and it's owned by Canonical. In fact, Canonical owns Linux Mint now. In fact, Canonical owns every Ubuntu-based distribution that is not Trisquel. So, if you want Ubuntu, steady base, don't want Ubuntu repos, go for Trisquel. And it's even more up-to-date than Debian. I'm surprised I'm saying that, and I love Debian. I really do love Debian, but Trisquel is where it's at if you still want PPAs.
Deconf editor.
And these are all the stuff you'd expect in Mate.
GDebi package installer.
Gadebi,
Log file viewer.
Log file viewer.
Mate disk image mount. Mate system monitor. Power statistics. Back in time.
there's Back in
Other
Time.
menu. Add remove applications.
And this is the old GNOME add and remove applications. They had this right up until Ubuntu rebranded it as Ubuntu software. So this was a fairly simple software store back in the day. I can't believe Trisquel is even bundling this. So let's take a look at it.
Desktop. Icon view. Add remove text.
So add and remove software packages is very similar to the Synaptic Package Manager, except the last time I tried this was more accessible.
Table with 2,407
And there's a
rows,
lot of
3
stuff
columns. Checkbox ticked. A browser, web browser, browse the World Wide Web.
This is
Image.
already, those that are checked are the stuff that's already been installed.
Checkbox ticked. LibreOffice The Office Productivity Suite compatible to the open and standardized ODF document format. Supported by the Document Foundation. Image.
Now if you uncheck those, they could actually uninstall, so let's find something.
Checkbox not ticked. Software add. Remove or update software on this computer.
You can
Image.
actually install the new GNOME software, so I'm going to go check that. Sometimes it won't work.
Checkbox not ticked. Software add. Remove or up. Checkbox not ticked. Software add.
I'm pretty sure this doesn't work with Orca.
Software not ticked.
Let's check it.
Checkbox ticked. Checkbox not ticked. Software add. Remove or
Okay, for some reason, we can't check that box. It doesn't
software
work with Orca.
not ticked.
Numlock
Numlock on.
Numlock
Unlock off.
Let's try turning on.
Leaving flat review.
No,
Checkbox tick. Checkbox not ticked. Software add. Remove or update software.
just goes to show how Orca is becoming unsupported by the Linux community. If Trisquel devs are watching this, can you please make sure this actually works properly with Orca? It doesn't really matter anyway, because what it does is it's supposed to install stuff when you ask it to. So it'll like say, let me see if I can...
Description read-only text. Screenshot push button, help push button, cancel push button, categories. Table with 13 rows, cancel push button, desktop.
So we can't use this software store, which is a shame. And that's not Trisquel's fault, that's John Murray Briggs' fault. The developer of Orca hasn't updated Orca since 2014. So it's just getting security updates, no new feature updates. What else do I have to show you? Oh yeah, administration menu. Let's go find
Menu.
that.
Chromium off drafts game at other add remove applications. Places menu. System menu. Preferences menu. Administration menu.
Here's our administration
System
menu.
Add remove applications. Light DMGTK printer settings. Printers. Software updater. Software updates.
So these are your standard Ubuntu tools.
Startup disk creator. Synaptic package manager.
We've got Synaptic, which is kind of nice.
Users and groups.
But I don't recommend new users use Synaptic.
Add remove applications.
Add and remove applications. I like that.
Administration menu. Control center. Administration preferences menu. Hardware menu. Bluetooth adapters. Bluetooth mani disks. Displays. Keyboard. Keyboard short mouse. Power management sound. Time and date man. Bluetooth adapter. Bluetooth manager.
So all these are your basic Mate tools.
Hardware menu. Internet and network
I'm going to look
menu.
now for anything new.
Preferences look and feel
Look and
menu.
feel.
Appearance. Card rack main menu. Mate TUI pop-up notific screensaver. Windows. Appearance. Look and feel other menu. Primus preferences. Other
So
menu. Personal menu. About me. Assisted file language support onboard settings. Passwords and keys. Preferred applications.
nothing really new.
Desktop. Icon view.
I'm going to go quickly show you the terminal.
Jordan Banana Doll. Frame. Jordan Banana Doll.
Make sure all our
Dollar.
packages are up to
Jordan Banana
date.
Doll.
So I can show you what repos are enabled.
SUDRCPT.
Now I've enabled the Mozilla repos just in case I need them.
Sudo password for Jordan. 0 working. Get :1 HTTPS. PPA launchpad content.net Mozilla tam PPA Ubuntu Debian release 23.8 KB 0 connected to Mirror LibreLab commode 147.96.25.75 1 in release 0B 23.8K. Hit :2 HTTPS. Mirror LibreLab commode trisquel arrow in release 0 waiting for headers. Get :3 HTTPS. PPA launchpad content.net Mozilla tam PPA Ubuntu Debian main AMD64 packages 33.7 KB 0 waiting for.
Now, the second repo, that's not the PPA, the mirror one, that is where the majority of Trisquel's packages are coming from. They're not coming from Canonical. And what's even better is that you don't have the proprietary snap installed. And Trisquel also ships a very much filtered Flatpak repo, so you can't use FlatHub. FlatHub that easily won't work because it depends on proprietary stuff. So that's the thing. So let me check what kernel we are running.
UNAME-R 5.15.069 generic Jordan Banana Doll.
So we're running the latest long-term support 5.15 kernel. We are running Trisquel 11 with the Mate desktop. I can't remember, I think this is the latest Mate Ubuntu. These are taken from upstream Ubuntu Jammy Jellyfish. Now, unlike Ubuntu, this will keep everything up to date for you. Canonical has recently been phasing out updates. It's gotten to the point now where you've got to pay for updates for both Ubuntu, Linux Mint, Pop! OS, all those distributions based on Ubuntu. They're getting phased updates, and this is all part of Canonical's efforts to push people to use Ubuntu Pro, which is, the free version is for 5 machines, but honestly, you should be paying
Notification software updates available. There are 132 updates available. Click on the notification icon to show the available updates.
Honestly, I think, personally, just switch to running Debian or don't use anything based on Ubuntu, unless you're using this one, Trisquel, which is, this distribution has been going for quite a long time. They do they are very accessibility conscious, except when the software store just doesn't work with it, and that's a bad thing. But if you're used to using the terminal, then I guess that doesn't really matter. That other computer you can hear is my old Lenovo laptop. That's currently running Ubuntu Mate. I love Ubuntu Mate. It's probably one of the best Ubuntu flavors there is. Of course, if you still want to run Ubuntu, you'll have to use Aptitude in order to upgrade, because Canonical is really starting to force you to use Ubuntu Pro. And it's even happening on distributions that are not owned by Canonical, like Pop OS, Accessible Coconut, all that. So, do I recommend Trisquel? Now, it's hard to say, really, because Trisquel might work, but it might not do too, because of proprietary hardware and drivers. Most notably, though, your Wi-Fi card might not work, because most Wi-Fi cards these days contain proprietary drivers. And if you do have a computer that does work with Wi-Fi, or you primarily use Ethernet, and all your other hardware works, then Trisquel is a safe bet. And especially now that Ubuntu is becoming software as a service, like Windows 10 and Windows 11, and Canonical is no longer focused on their desktop and now just focusing on servers, hence the Ubuntu Pro. Trisquel is a best bet. Trisquel was designed for desktop in the first place. It's just a get out of your way kind of operating system. Canonical is no longer committed to providing a user-friendly Linux desktop, in my opinion. Whereas Trisquel is getting there, but we just need a welcome screen, maybe a few things to get started. And not only that, you don't have to run just 100% free software if you're using Trisquel. Hence, I would run Google Chrome if the Chromium project actually got their act together and fixed the Orca problem that I've been reporting since February 2022. But it may not also be Chromium's fault yet again, because the developer of Orca hasn't updated Orca since 2014. Hence the problem with Chromium. Now, even though we are on the latest version of Orca for Ubuntu 22.04, being 42.0, there are no new features inside Orca. The last new feature Orca got was a feature that NVDA has had for ages, and that's to make beeping sounds while it's copying things. And this is precisely why I don't use the latest version of Chrome on Linux. Not just because of the bug related to accessibility, but because Orca's developers are generally lazy and don't bother getting their act together. It's why Red Hat hired a blind software engineer. They don't want to package Orca anymore because it's not being updated, and that's why they've hired the blind software engineer. In the coming months or years, I could see Ubuntu scrapping Orca entirely. Debian will probably keep it for a while because Debian wants to be the go-to distribution, and I don't blame it. Debian is epic. Those who say otherwise are very disrespectful to the Debian project, because Debian is epic. I think the current project leader is visually impaired for Debian. But if you're looking for a really good desktop experience with an Ubuntu base that isn't heavily filtered by Canonical, then yeah, go for Trisquel. It's 100% free, it's funded by donations, so you can donate anytime. It's a community distribution, and it's just otherwise a brilliant desktop experience. Now, I wish I was using it myself, but obviously my computer doesn't work with Trisquel, and obviously I'm playing Manamon 2, so you can only have one license key per PC. So saying that, you can't have the license activated on another PC in a way. So
Screensaver.
buy a new PC, you'll have to buy a new copy of Manamon 2. Well, likewise, if you reset your copy of Windows or have to reinstall Windows. I'm going to go shut this down.
Menu. Shut down. Alert. Shut down this syst. Cancel push button. Shut down push button.
Oracle VM.
So to Trisquel's developers, the software store needs to be improved. I know that you won't be able to improve Orca because that's up to the developer of Orca, and obviously she's no longer supporting the project anymore. I think we can basically say that Orca is officially dead. It's not getting updates. Updates per se, new feature updates, which we really do need, because proprietary operating systems are getting really better. Look at Windows and Mac OS. Narrator has gotten a lot better. Mac OS gets voiceover updates with new versions of Mac OS. And we have NVDA and JAWS and Supernova and Cobra, which are just getting better and better and better. And what do we have on Linux? A screen reader that has not been updated since March of 2014. That was the last time I saw Orca get updated. Now, it has had user interface revamps, but it hasn't had any new features per se. Which is why I don't run Linux as my main operating system these days now until either Chrome gets fixed with the Orca. I have submitted this to Google's disability team and the Chromium project, so I should hope that gets fixed in version 1.13. If not, then Linux will become... I can see Linux not being a very good platform for visually impaired users. Unless they get their act together. The developers of Orca, not Chromium, because Chromium is epic. It's not Chromium's fault they've ended up in this state. It's Orca it's GNOME's fault because they advertised an accessible desktop, but yet they don't keep their screen reader up to date. So in this day and age, it's important to have an up-to-date screen reader that can cope with new programming languages and stuff. Orca still depends on Python 2. NVDA is running Python 3. So that's the problem. Other than that, I want to know what you think of the distribution Trisquel altogether. So this is a 100% fully free distribution of Linux, and I absolutely love it. But I want to know what your opinion on Trisquel is. If you've got any questions or queries, please feel free to let me know ask in the comments, and I'll be sure to answer them. If you like to see Linux content, make sure you subscribe. This is Jordan signing off.
Talk back on camera. 0. Capture. Pause. Stop recording.